Welcome everybody to a hip opening Hatha class. So there's no kneeling or wrists or anything like that. We're going to be focusing on standing poses, opening up those hips. Now I have got some blocks and I've also got smaller blocks, but you could perhaps use a towel or a book or something like that. And I'm just going to cover something quickly, very quickly. So one of the positions we're going to be in is a squat position. Now, for some people to be in a nice tall position, I want to say it's not impossible, but they feel like they're falling backwards or they feel like there's no space in the hip or something. And it could be the hip anatomy, so the bone structure of your pelvis, but it could also be something called equinus foot. And equinus foot is the bones of the foot are quite high. So if you think of a horse hoof, it's quite a high arch. And it's just a bone structure thing. It's not a disability or anything like that. It's just how the bones are in the foot. So if you find that you need a little bit of space, what you can do is take little blocks or anything like that. If you've got any... I was going to say, if you've got any weights at home and you've got the plates, you can use the plates as well. And you can then pop your heels on the things. And all that does is it gives you a bit more space. So you can see I could go down a lot further with that. Okay, so if you find that you just you can't get there without your knees rolling in or you feel very off balance, you can try that one. Except where you can roll a load of towels up as well and pop it under your heels. It just gives, it almost levels your foot out for you. Otherwise, let's get started. So we are coming into goddess pose, which is a squat position. We're going to start nice and high. And I'm actually just going to turn around quickly for this first part. So with this position, we're trying not to come into this bent back. I want you to imagine your back is against a wall. Okay, so for some people, it's going to be this high. Some people might be able to go a little lower. We're all different. The main thing I want you to focus on with your goddess pose is that your knees aren't rolling in. So I really want you to anchor your weight into this outside part of the foot. So not rolling it, it's just making sure that you're not rolling your ankles in. And for most people, having your toes turned out is going to help you with this, okay? So have your hands on your hips, grow nice and tall, breathe in. Now as you exhale, all I want you to do is unlock your knees, okay? Glance down at your knees. Does it feel like they're already rolling in? So feel the weight in the outer part of the foot. Does it feel like it's coming off of the mat? And can you send your knees further back? Okay? And we're going to hold that position. Now, if there's space available for you, maybe you can go a little lower. Again, if you're going to go lower, pay attention to the weight in your feet. Are your knees starting to roll in? So this is the most important part, okay? So this is where your ego can get in the way, where you want to go really low, but then you're in that position. It's not a good position for your knee joint, okay? So we want to make sure that the knees stay in line with those big toes. So if it means for you, you come up a little higher, you come up a little higher. Your muscles are still working because your knees are bent, so don't worry if you're not going to go super low. So I'm just going to turn around. So when you come into your squat, again, this is why I like walls. It's like how low can you go without your bum popping out or you leaning forward? So for me, that's probably about as far as I can go today. Okay, so I'm going to face forward. So just find that, excuse me, that little sweet spot. Taking a breath in. And exhale. So just hug that tummy in. Now bring all your fingertips together and I want you to have your thumbs on your sternum and just gently pushing into your fingers. And I want you to feel what happens around your back as you do that. You can close your eyes if you want to. So inhale. Gently push your fingers together. Feel down the back. So as you start to fatigue, make sure the knees don't start rolling in. So I want you to really anchor these inner thigh muscles. Push those knees out. Breathe in. And exhale. So not only are we working the lower half of the body, we're also getting to the back with this position. 2 more breaths. If there's space to go a little lower, you can, but check your knees. And last breath. Good. Release your hands down to the side and just slowly come up. We're going to turn the toes so they're pointing forward, and I'm going to turn around. Okay, so now my toes are pointing in the same direction. If the back of your legs are quite tight, you could also do this with slightly bent legs. So take the hands onto the hips and hug your elbows in at the back. Breathe in as you lift your heart. Now we're going to try and do this with a straight back. So I want you to send your coccyx to the ceiling and think of this hinge going on at the hips so that the back stays nice and straight. So I like this position because it stops the shoulders coming around like that. Now I've got my blocks. So bearing in mind my arms are quite long, you can see I still need 2 blocks. Because what I'm trying to do is keep my shoulders the same height as my hips. So I'm not in that kind of position. So I want you to think of length here. Imagine you're trying to pull the rib cage away from your hips and your hips away from your rib cage. Breathe in and exhale. Taking another breath and exhale. Now, if there is space for you to go a little deeper, you can take the blocks and just move them away. So breath in and then exhale as you release down. Maybe take the hands so they're in line with the feet or keep them forward. Now I want you to be mindful here that your weight isn't going backwards. So if you can lift your toes, I want you to bring the weight forward so that you can't really lift the toes. Hopefully you'll feel that in the back of the legs. Breathing in and then exhale, releasing to it. Just let your head hang. Now, if your hands don't touch the floor, then I would suggest stay with the blocks, even if your arms are bent. But try and focus on space in your body. So lengthening the legs. Just let your head hang. So it's not always about just going as deep as you can into something. I want you to think of space in your body. So I'm trying to pull my rib cage away from the hips. Taking 2 more breaths. I like to spend a bit of time in poses. It really helps those tissues to give. This is why I'm not a fan of vinyasa. And then lengthen your spine. Bring the hands back to the blocks. Bend your legs. Take the hands to the lower back. And now, if possible, you're either going to lift the back of the head up, or if you find that's too much on your back, drop the chin and roll up. And bring yourself to standing. And we're going to come into a garland pose, but we're going to do the yin variation. I will offer you both just in case. Just going to grab these blocks again. Now, if you've got any knee issues, hip issues, or you're so tight in your hips that you haven't got a lot of space, I highly recommend doing the yin version, which is sitting on a load of blocks or pillows or stuff, anything that can lift you. Toes will be turned out, knees are tracking in line with the toes, and your elbows will be on the inside of your knees. And almost that same hand position that we did earlier. So thumbs on the heart, but this time keeping the hands together. This is where arm length body length, leg length might dictate that you can't put your arms in that position. So even if you have your hands here, okay, it all depends. So if you want to do the full garland pose and you haven't got any knee, hip issues, toes turned out like we did in the first one, bring your hands to the heart, inhale, and then we're going to drop those hips down. So I find sometimes I've got to just shuffle the feet a little bit to get them into the right position. So the heart is lifted. Draw the hand towards the chest, and now you're going to push your knees into your elbows and push your elbows into your knees. So again, we want that nice integrity in the back. So often what happens with this position is, again, the knees will roll in and then you'll be in that shape. So I want you to think of space. Again, this is another time where you can pop something under your heels and it gives you a nice bit of space. Okay, so getting into your position, I'm going to do the yin variation. The other benefit to the yin one is it actually relaxes the muscles a little bit more, so you can focus more on stretching and releasing the hips rather than being really active because the muscles are holding you there. So trying to get those knees nice and wide, lifting your heart, gazing forward. Take a breath in. And exhale. Same as we did in the forward bend, I want you to think of lifting the rib cage away from the hips. Space around your body. Shoulders are down the back. Jaw is nice and relaxed. Neck is nice and relaxed. 2 more breaths. And last breath. And then from here, releasing the hands to the floor. So if you're in the full garland, you can either go into stand and give your legs a shake and then come down. As I'm on the floor, I'm just going to stay here and take a block away. And then just bring your soles of your feet together. I like to be on a block. It just lifts the hips a little bit. Soles of the feet together. You can have them a little further away. The closer to your hip, the more you'll be able to open up. And then just give your wings a little flap. Just loosen that off. Good. And then come to any comfortable position for you to sit in nice and tall. Soften the eyes down, lengthen your spine, and just take a moment to feel the sensations you can feel around your hips where your thigh bones meet your hip sockets. How does it feel into your back? And I can certainly feel in the middle back, I can feel it's quite active there. So just taking a moment to observe how your practice today has affected your body positively. Drop the chin to the throat. Blink your eyes open, take a deep breath in, lift your hands up. And as you exhale, bringing your hands down to your heart. And from my heart to yours, thank you for practicing with me. I hope you enjoyed your hip openers. Take care.